Here we go, Dead Men Walking. It's the famous Troubadour. Slim Jim Phantom, how are you?
I'm very well. Troubadour, we love the Troubadour, right down the street.
What's your memories of this place?
Oh, I've been here so many times. I remember playing here one time with Scotty Moore. That's a good memory. I played here with Lemmy. We've done shows here with Lemmy. Done shows here with Harry Dean Stanton.
Okay.
Done shows here with
Headcat's done it.
And I've done it. I did a gig with Harry Dean. Cheap Dates, a band we had in the '90s. We played here. I've been here probably 200-300 times. So it's
amazing
great,
memories. And we got Mike Peters in the house.
Hello. Good evening.
And Chris, introduce yourself.
Hi, how are you? I'm Chris, and I'm a Capricorn.
Beautiful. Lots of birthdays around here, history in the making. Well, everybody's got a storied past, that's for damn sure. But what brings us to Dead Man Walking? The music is so fresh, but then again, we're talking about music that was influenced by music 50-some years ago, 40 years ago.
It started really probably through friendship. Mikey and I have been pals for 100 years, and we were doing some shows around England with some other pals of ours. Glenn Matlock was one of them, and on a run of shows, Sensible was on with us. That's when we happened to somehow start writing a few original songs with this lineup, and we would go in the studio in the daytime and record a few of them, and then drive out and play the shows at night, and it kind of snowballed from there a little bit. We had half a record and got in touch with Chris Chaney, who's another dear pal. I knew he would be right for this, and I could vouch for him. So Captain's and Mikey met Chris, and he was fit in right away, and we knocked out the rest of the record really here in LA, and it finally got a release for it. So
amazing stuff. Mike, what drew you to want to collaborate with these guys? This style?
Well, look, I bought everyone's records, for a start, and I'm a fan of everybody in the band. We gate crashed the gig from the Stray Cats in 1980. Got about 20 trains and buses to try and track down New Rose when it came out in 77, 76, really, and saw the Damned play a lot in the early days, and then a few years ago, the Alarm and the Damned did a tour together around Britain, and then was able to talk to Captain Sense about coming on board with the Dead Men Walking, and we press ganged him into it, and here he is, he's part of the gang.
Amazing stuff. Chris, here, you take this mic down there.
Yeah.
And tell us, obviously growing up in Australia, right?
Yeah.
What is it about this American rootsy music, this legendary sound that just keeps evolving into decades and generations?
God, I don't know. It's timeless, isn't it? I mean, my parents played a lot of 50s stuff when I was growing up, and I just kind of loved it. And then when I saw the Stray Cats, I was kind of like, okay, that's what I want to do. That all kind of makes sense now, and but. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just. I think it's got a heartbeat to it. Perhaps, you know what I mean. Like, it's just kind of something that, as a human being, you sort of like you get it, and it's fun, and it lifts you up. So that's why I've always been into kind of rock and roll, old kind of rock and roll stuff. But yeah, it's been the ride of my life. I met Jim. My band played over here, and he came to the show with his son, who had bought our records, which is so weird because I'd bought his records when I was a kid. And we just stayed in contact, and as Jim said, they were looking for a guitar player, and he kind of vouched for me, and luckily enough, Captain and Mikey liked me. I was pretty nervous that first day walking in, going, what if they don't like the way I play? But it's been unreal.
What he doesn't know, we were all fans before he'd even walked in the room, so it was a done deal. We were all nervous about meeting him.
Well, it's almost like you got to go back to go forward. Here you go, Jim. You take that.
Always.
I mean, we're thinking about these classic days, and some of our heroes are still alive. Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yep.
B.B. King. A lot of these guys, of course. Chuck Berry is still living. What does it mean to, however we can, pay tribute to these guys while they're still on this planet?
Well, I think just by doing it, passing the torch, carrying on, having the thread still, even if it gets thinner and thinner and a little bit harder to see, you have to have that thread, I think, to those original rock and rollers for it to be true in any way. And just kind of keep the roots watered, really. I don't know. Yeah, that's the kind of the best way to say it, I think.
I think it's a lot of these guys feel like they've kind of been neglected
Yeah.
while they're still on this planet breathing, I think you guys would all concur that it'd be great to show them some love.
Sure.
Without a Little Richard, without a Chuck Berry, you know, without these guys.
Absolutely.
You know.
We all know that on the day that they finally meet their maker, it'd be all over the news. It'd be a sad day, and everyone would be playing the music. And it is a shame that they can't play the music today while they're still alive, and they can feel the benefit and drive people to their shows. Absolutely. But that's always, you know, that's how they became great. They had to fight to get their music heard, you know, and they had to cross all kinds of divides and barriers and prejudices that they broke down. And that's why, you know, we still mark that line back then, because they opened doors for other generations to come through. You know, they fought the rock and roll wars, and we benefited.
Yep, exactly.
Everybody's trying to figure out where punk started, but really rock and roll started it all.
It's all the same.
Sure.
These guys were the original rock stars.
Sure, the punk rockers all loved, that's one of our songs called Song for Eddie. Everyone agrees. Mods, rockers, teddy boys, punk rockers, everybody agrees that Eddie Cochran was a uniting guy. 100 years later, frozen in time, and this looking. So that's something everyone can agree on. So the original American rock and rollers, Little Richard was on the the original shirts from Malcolm McLaren's shop. So I mean, everyone loved Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran and Little Richard. It's a given.
And I know we've been going back and forth all these pawns all these years, and you guys being from New York, New Jersey, coming to England to make it, and of course, the Alarm coming to America to feel the love over here, and of course, living in coming to America. What is it about kind of loving something that's kind of from somewhere else?
Well, I think you stay fans. You know, the reason we all play guitars or drums or sing is because we saw somebody doing it before us. We didn't invent it, and it's such a powerful thing to see and to discover where this music comes from. And America's the home of rock and roll, and so to actually, you know, come on a plane and from when you've grown up in a small town miles away from the source, and then all of a sudden you get a chance to play in America. It's very humbling, but it's something you dream about, you know. And you see these places. Certainly, for me, there was no internet, so you know, I didn't know what America was going to be like till I got here, and it was amazing. And I still get a thrill whenever I step off the plane. It's like, wow, can't believe I'm still doing it after all this time. And people still want to come and hear the gigs, and you know, they want to come and hear the Deadmen Walking, hear the songs. They don't just want to hear what we're known for, but they want to know what we've got to say today and how we do it, and to come to find out about our new music as much as celebrate the past as well.
And the kids today can't imagine that you guys did it without the internet and without all this technology and, you know, without all this tools and all
no
that.
cell phone.
No,
no cell phone.
Somehow you did a tour without a cell phone.
I know, it's
You try to
amazing.
remember, how do we do it without this and without a computer and without the internet?
Collect
Yeah.
calls and stuff. We got on the
Yeah,
phone.
yeah,
We got
calls,
I've never
yeah.
seen anybody use a phone booth in the last 5 years. Amazing stuff.
It's funny, there's one right there, and I was just looking at it. And like, it's iconic amongst all the old.
And we spent hours on those phoning home and checking in with everybody.
So since he's not here, tell us a little bit about the great Captain, Captain Sensible. What part of the stew does he bring forth?
I think, well, the Captain brings he's an incredible musician for a start. People see the character on stage and the red beret and the jokes and this outlandish person, but underneath it he's very sensitive. He's a very tasteful musician, and I think this allows him a little bit of a chance to step out of the box and that people put him in that says marked Captain Sensible. Here you see the music, yeah, of course the character comes out, it wouldn't be the same person without it, but you see him in another dimension, and I think you realise why his music has, you know, drew a line in the sand. You know, when the Damned and the Pistols and the Clash came along, the Damned were at the vanguard. They put the first punk single out, and without that record, you know, a lot of modern day alternative music that says something about the culture we live in today wouldn't exist. And so a lot of people come to pay homage to the Captain, and we do every night when we're on stage as well. We're kind of honoured to be there.
And Jim, I know you played the US Festival right out here in San Bernardino.
Yep.
What was it like to feel this little garage band? These little three guys that were playing in a little room. Now we're looking at 300,000 people.
Yeah, that was a bit of a moment, like a defining moment, because we'd done it, like you said, we started a lot. We didn't start at the US Festival. We did A lot of work. 5 sets a night,
Minutes, right?
4 sets a night, 5 nights a week, yeah, for a year or so, and then we went to England and had a success there, and met the right people. Met Mike, met Sensible, Sex Pistols, Clash. These were our friends that came to the shows, and because again, Stray Cats were a little bit of a unifying thing between. I remember the ska type guys used to come with Jerry Dammers, and the guys from the Pogues, and we were all kind of. Everyone agrees on Eddie Cochran, and the Stray Cats were kind of the modern. Moving that forward, example of that. So when we did the US Festival, we brought this kind of music back all the way to the mainstream, and it was a bit of a moment. Yeah, that was our day that day, and it was.
Take us back. You walk out there, and there's just people further than you can see.
Yeah, and the same same little tiny drum kit. We had 2 amps, and a lot of empty space around us on the stage.
This is amazing. Is the same band that's playing in this little room is amplified and
same equipment, same like it was definitely a good moment. We kind of without saying it to each other, no one really talked about that kind of stuff too much. But with the look, we kind of said, "How did we even get here?" And before you get the end of the sentence in your head, we're here because we rehearsed at Lee's parents' house a million times, and then did 3,000 gigs, and that's how you get there. So that was a good moment. That was a defining. Well, we took a helicopter.
At the gig. That was the day I landed in America for the very first time, and we had ambitions to go to the gig. We knew it was happening, and Jim was going to be there. And we thought, let's go. And we didn't realise it was 100 miles away. We just get off the plane, the gig would be on.
That was a helicopter.
Nowhere. You're driving to Vegas, and like over there.
Yeah, we took it.
Just bulldozed this whole area. Chris, your feelings, your memories, first time coming to like LA and America, and what your best memories were?
It was kind of pretty bizarre and surreal to just stay at places like the Riot House and that. And I remember, it's funny you mentioned, the Tower on Sunset, and just all these places that you'd seen photos of and pictures of. And Australia's such a long way away, it still is. And I remember we stayed there, and we'd heard that Little Richard lived on the top floor, and we got in the lift one day, and he got in with his 2 bodyguards, and the bass player Scott and I, who had been started the band when we were 14 or something, listened to all those records. We're I'm surprised he didn't get freaked out, because we were just staring at him. We're going, holy crap, this is like the USA. This stuff happens, and it's Hollywood, and then just cool stuff like when we first met Jim, and I was just like, this can't be happening. It was our dream. And I know so many friends and musicians who started out when we did, and then, very few of them are still doing it. So I still pinch myself. And we did, when we first got over here to America, it was like, wow, we can really make some money in this joint. But we didn't.
Well, this place, the Troubadour as well, Elton John broke. He did that big 10-night series back in the 70s when he was a nobody, and I mean, everybody's played in here.
Yeah, John Lennon got arrested in here, didn't he? Having a fight.
With Harry Nilsson.
Yeah.
And all the guys, So where does the band go from here? Is there going to be future music? What can we...
Absolutely, yeah. The great thing is we really enjoy being in the Dead Men Walking. We enjoy each other's company, as do the audience. And it's a big world, and we represent a big part of it. We've got an Australian, a Welshman, an Englishman, an American.
And they all walk into a bar.
And they all walk into a bar.
They put Eddie Cochran on the jukebox.
That's it. And that's called rock and roll.
Well, we can't wait to hear more. And, thank you so much, Slim Jim, Mike Peters, Chris. I know you're going to rock this town tonight. Thank you so much.